Working in the meatpacking industry is one of the most dangerous jobs a worker can have.
Water on the floor, all on the floor, electrical problems.
Guys have to go into confined entry spaces, they have to go into high voltage areas, swinging carcasses, everything you can imagine, from sharp objects to moving conveyors.
Slips, trips, and falls, ergonomics, noise, and lacerations are the biggest safety problems in meatpacking, poultry, and food processing plants.
Chain speed. So what do we know about chain speed that day?
Welcome to Health and Safety class. Your teachers are union members from food manufacturing plants around the country. Here you'll learn how to make your workplace safer for you and your fellow workers. Workers in meatpacking plants suffer amputations, painful and disabling hand injuries, and permanent back injuries.
Why do we want to know what the real hazards were so that we can take action to correct the hazard? The floor was slippery, the drains were clogged, the lines are going very fast.
Some of the employees out there have been injured. Some have fallen. Some have cut themselves. Some have cut others.
For instance, I had a lady that had just started work, and she could not move her hands. They were so swollen and purple and losing her nails.
Hay serrucheros que se han cortado las manos. Otro, allí en la planta nosotros, de a tiro se mochó toda la mano, que ahorita tiene la mitad de la mano, como quien dice la mitad del brazo.
In fact, there are 3 times more injuries in meatpacking plants than in other manufacturing sectors, and 2 times more injuries in poultry plants. The largest category of injuries in meatpacking is musculoskeletal disorders, like carpal tunnel syndrome or tendinitis. The UFCW believes stories and statistics like these are unacceptable and is leading the movement to make meatpacking and processing plants safer.
If there's something unsafe going, we have safety committee members that look into it to make it safer.
Slips, trips, and falls are among the leading causes of work-related injuries and deaths. In food manufacturing plants, slips, trips, and falls are caused by slippery floors, high stands, platforms, ladders, and stairs. OSHA requires employers to protect workers from slips, trips, and falls. Some of the OSHA standards that apply to food manufacturing plants are: all walking and working surfaces must be clean and dry. Floor openings must be guarded. Every platform 4 feet or more above the floor must be guarded on all sides. All stairs with 4 or more risers must have railings. There are a lot of requirements for ladders covered in OSHA standards. The UFCW makes sure that workers have a real voice in their own safety on the job by ensuring worker representation on safety committees, addressing health and safety issues with management, and obtaining grants to produce training such as this.
Isn't this a recipe for disaster? He's straddling a conveyor and his feet are in blood on both sides, aren't they?
Many workers, especially in meatpacking and poultry plants, suffer lacerations and amputations.
Unguarded machinery, the saws, because they do it by hand, so they gotta be really careful.
OSHA requires engineering controls, such as machine guarding, as the first line of defense to protect workers from lacerations and amputations. A recent study by the University of Nebraska of meatpacking workers in 2 pork plants found that most lacerations were caused by knives. An unexpected other cause of cuts was sharp edges. OSHA requires employers to provide safety gear whenever a worker could cut themselves. Workplace safety is not a privilege, it's a right, guaranteed to workers under the Occupational Safety and Health Act. It's the employer's responsibility to provide workers with a safe workplace. Safety committee members and activists make sure that this happens every day in the plants. Another right workers and their unions have under OSHA is the right to injury records, the OSHA 300 logs.
OSHA logs is named OSHA 300 logs. They've been created by the federal government with the intent to identify and provide the government with a report that reflects accidents in the plant, time loss in the plant, any type of accidents that occur within the time.
Another right workers have under OSHA is the right to file a complaint if they can't get the employer to fix serious hazards.
How do we find these hazards?
Go and request those OSHA logs, and then you can review them and make some observations to see where most of your injuries are coming from.
Really, the experts are the ones who are in the plants every day, the workers and the representatives who know their stories, and they're the ones who know the hazards. They know how to find the hazards, and by and large, they really know how to fix them.
What did you see here?
I see sharp edges on the table.
Good call, good catch. Anything else that people saw here?
Hearing loss from noise is a serious problem for food manufacturing workers. There are many causes of high noise in the plants: equipment and machines, conveyor belts, fans, and motors. Workers don't realize that the noise can cause them to lose their hearing later in their lives. The primary way food manufacturing employers control the noise is by requiring workers to wear earplugs. OSHA says that earplugs do not prevent workers from losing their hearing. The OSHA standard says employers are required to use engineering controls to reduce the noise, like quieter machines, or reduce the hours a worker is working in the high noise area, like rotating them so they work less time in noisy areas, rather than using earplugs. When workers are required to wear earplugs, there are lots of requirements in the OSHA standard. Some of them are: the earplugs must reduce the noise. Workers must have several kinds of earplugs to choose from. Workers must be trained. The noise must be measured. Hearing exams must be given every year. Most union plants have a safety committee made up of workers who review safety conditions in the plant on a regular basis.
What the safety committee does is first and foremost is make our plant safe to work in.
One of the safety committee's key responsibilities is identifying workplace hazards through regular safety tours or walkarounds of the plant.
A walk-around inspection basically is the safety committee walks through the plant looking for hazards, looking for problems where the people get injured and report it or get it fixed.
You get on the floor, you walk around, and it works well for me because I am a general worker, which means I know a good portion of the jobs in my area. So, I mean, that's the best person to go around.
Lo que nosotros hacemos, tenemos una rutina, por ejemplo, vamos al piso a ver que las líneas estén corriendo a la velocidad que tienen que correr.
So what I want you to do is to break up into groups.
The UFCW teaches its members how to identify hazards, how to fix hazards, and their rights under OSHA through training workshops that are held at local unions and conferences.
This week, we're conducting our National Health and Safety Conference for meatpacking, poultry, and food processing workers from across the nation.
Safety committee members, they attend these classes that we offer, and we basically tell them how to recognize hazards.
One of the tools that we use and teach is how to map a workplace. It's a way to communicate among a group of people what the hazards are. And we've given you a color code such that you can use the dots I gave you for defining those hazards.
And then we have chemicals throughout because we use a lot of ammonia.
A lot of condensation on the floor.
Tell us about what you found for hazards there.
Blue dots are for unlevel platforms. Just for rapid pace, for line speed.
When there is an incident or injury at the plant, workers report it to management. There can be no retaliation. This is another right under OSHA. Another job of the Safety Committee is to uncover the causes of injuries and incidents in order to prevent them from happening again.
La unión ayuda a la planta y al trabajador que las lastimaduras y todo se reporten bien a tiempo y todo.
It's important that workers have well-designed work areas and proper safety equipment. Ergonomics is the science of redesigning jobs to fit the worker rather than fitting a worker to the job.
Workstations where workstations don't belong, it's very important to try and recognize what are the hazards with that.
There is no OSHA standard on ergonomics. However, OSHA encourages employers to develop ergonomic programs. The programs involve workers in finding and fixing the hazards that cause musculoskeletal disorders, training for workers and management, and a medical program to treat these disorders early so that workers don't become disabled.
I'm particularly looking out for ergonomic issues. We go out on the floor, we talk to the employees, we watch the employees work to see if they're in an awkward position.
My coworkers complain to me all the time about the reaching and the going behind their back. That's really hurting them. My supervisor wanted me to go from this position to this position to this position, which hurts me right now at this moment.
Workers are encouraged to observe and report safety concerns and injuries to their representatives and management. Once safety concerns are identified, the safety committee informs the company and follows through to make sure hazards are fixed or eliminated.
Nosotros ir con la compañía y enforzar a la compañía de que se haga lo que debe estar bien. Y es parte del trabajo de nosotros.
Another right all employees have under the OSHA law is to report unsafe conditions to them, either directly or through their representative. In all of these ways, the UFCW members are making their plants safer, healthier places to work through training such as this. Learn to identify the hazards around your workplace. Know your OSHA rights. And work with the safety committee to fix conditions that lead to injuries. You can make a difference at your workplace because you don't have to work in danger.